MSR is located in Seattle and still manufactures much of their gear at their SOTO headquarters. You're probably familiar with their backpacking and mountaineering gear, like stoves and tents. What's interesting though is they also make excellent winter backcountry tools like probes, shovels, and saws, as well as ski touring poles for both backcountry skiing, snowboarding, and snowshoeing. Behind their designs are passionate engineers and scientists who strive to create better solutions to the real world needs of backcountry adventurers. Because of this, their designs are simple, functional, and reliable. Their philosophy is to give you everything you need and nothing that you don't, so that you can trust your gear when you need it the most. You can check out their winter equipment at msrgear.com. Our next presenter this evening is Dennis D'Amico. Dennis is the forecast director here at the Northwest Avalanche Center. Dennis developed a passion for snow and weather while growing up in Long Island, New York. He attended Cornell University in upstate New York and received a BS from the Atmospheric Science Department. After a few seasons dabbling in early backcountry ski adventures in New England and Eastern Canada, Dennis landed a weather forecasting position with the Seattle National Weather Service back in 2006. He was immediately drawn to the Northwest Avalanche Center's unique DNA of mountain meteorology and snow science, and of course, the easy access to the Olympics and Washington Cascades. Dennis was hired as an avalanche meteorologist for NWAC back in 2012, and he recently became the forecast director during the summer of 2019. Dennis is joining us this evening to chat about what's new with NWAC, and I'm proud to say that I get to work with Dennis. So thanks for joining us. I'll turn it over to you, Dennis.
Thanks, Scott. I think it's worth mentioning that we've actually been working a lot with Zoom for the last couple of years, and Scott set us up with Zoom, our forecast program, a couple of years ago, but he did not have the foresight to buy Zoom stock ahead of how things went this year. But yeah, we've been living on this platform for a couple of years for our forecaster meetings. So I want to talk to you. I think everybody can see my screen. I'd like to talk to you about forecast operations for the upcoming winter 2021, kind of what's new, what to expect on several levels from NWAC. Give you an overview. We're going to just start off with talk about operating with COVID, what that means for the forecast operation, or what you can expect from us. We'll go through a forecaster lineup card. If you've been keeping tabs on NWAC, we've been expanding our staff the last couple of years. And I think probably this year it's more important than ever that you get to have an opportunity to see the forecasters who will be in your area. We don't have any in-person events scheduled for this preseason. Very, very unusual. We'll touch on our snowmobile program, jump over to mountain weather forecasts. What's new there? We've got some new forecast fields and tables that you'll be able to access this year. And finally, a new website and an observation platform that I think everybody will enjoy. So what is operating in the new normal mean? I want to take this chance to emphasize our commitment to adapting to the new normal. And to me, that means delivering the best avalanche and weather forecasts, keeping our weather stations running, and exploring new formats for communication, just like this all season long. We've been working on an operating plan so that we can fulfill that promise and also uphold the safety to our workers at the same time. With your help, with our funding partners' help, we're confident we can have a full and safe season, but we do need to keep our heads above the snow and really just adapt as conditions change. So if you see, when you see one of our forecasters at the trailhead, in a snow pit or really anywhere else in the backcountry, give them a big hello and maybe just give them a little bit more personal space than you might have last season. So with that in mind, let's go through who you're going to see out forecasting for this season. I'd like to welcome back Peter Moore. Peter is the Mount Hood forecaster. This is his second season with NWAC. And you're going to get a chance to hear from Peter later in probably next week. And he's going to talk about his experience, not only forecasting for the Mount Hood zone, but his experience last year as the first forecaster, NWAC forecaster in Oregon. So welcome back, Peter. On the east side of the Cascades, that is, we're returning for fourth seasons respectively. We have Josh and Matt. Really happy to have them both back in their experience on our team. For the East-North zone, that covers Washington Pass. And then East Central is a wide-ranging area that includes Icicle Creek, Mission Ridge, Blewett, and areas east of I-90 or Snoqualmie Pass, trailheads like San Lusac. And both Josh and Matt will cover the Stevens Pass area. For Snoqualmie Pass in west south, all of our zones are large, but this one is one of the larger ones. It covers Crystal, Paradise, White Pass, and St. Helens. For the encore season, we have Andy returning. Andy was able to get some extra work and stay on through a good chunk of the spring, summer, and fall, and he's been doing a fantastic job working on our weather station program. He's done a complete inventory, not only of hardware that's out in the field, but he's taken a look at all, 40 or 50 programs that we have, really getting into the nitty gritty and building out lots of spreadsheets. That's not too exciting to show, but really the hard work that needs to be in place to keep the program moving forward and not just treading water. So Dallas is back this season for his 8th season with NWAC, but in a new position as deputy director. If you don't know Dallas, you've probably either been living under a rock or you're new to the Pacific Northwest. He's been everywhere. This summer, Dallas was selected for the newly minted deputy director position, and this is a permanent position within the U.S. Forest Service, which is when it comes to permanent positions in the government and the Forest Service, that's just not a guarantee these days. So this is really important to NWAC, and I want to take a second and thank the Mount Baker Snoqualmie Forest for supporting NWAC and helping us proceed with this opportunity and hire. A little bit of background on Dallas. He started with NWAC as an observer, professional observer in 2013. He came to us from Mount Rose in Nevada as a ski patroller. And he moved into the forecasting role in 16-17. And he begins this new season in another new role. When I think back about how our operation has changed, and this season our staff will have tripled. Our forecasting staff will have tripled in just 4 years. I couldn't be more excited to have Dallas come help and lead the program. He's already made an immediate impact preseason, working with Charlotte and some of our forecasters doing contract work, curating educational content that's becoming increasingly virtual. You'll see the fruits of some of that labor with these. We've got a whole host of education programs coming up this year, and you'll hear more about that later in NSAW. So please join me in welcoming Dallas to his new role this season. Moving on to West North, which is the Baker and 542 corridor. Andrew is returning for his 3rd season with NWAC. We're thrilled to have him back. And then that empty photo space that's below Andrew is for the current forecaster vacancy that we're just wrapping up the hiring now. I'd love to be able to tell you who we're going to hire, but we're so close, but we're not just quite there. If only I was speaking later and then saw maybe that would be possible. I can tell you we had a competitive field of applicants, and we're really excited to welcome a new forecaster to the fold this winter. And I think with this hire specifically, to look at where we're we're hiring for the West Central Zone. That includes the Mountain Loop Highway, terrain off of SR20 West, Highway 530. It's a great example. It's a great example to talk about the fruits of off-season planning. Late last spring, we were able to create an analysis using our DeLorme satellite tracking data for field days. We looked at several years of website traffic per avalanche zone and overlaid that with avalanche fatalities in the Northwest over the last 20 years. And we knew that we weren't putting forecasters in the field presence in West Central, but what it really helped is create analysis for us to effectively steer resources and make the case to the forest that this is where we need some more additional forecasting help. So with that in mind, look for an official announcement on the newest forecaster, hopefully in the next week or two. And switching gears to our meteorologist, as Scott said, myself, and then Robert Hahn's returning for his fourth season with NWAC. It's great to have Robert back. We produced the bulk of the mountain weather forecasts along with Dallas, and then we cover the Olympic zones along with an observer, and then we pitch hit several avalanche zones kind of trading across the map. Our sled program is back for its second season. Last year was the first year that NWAC had sleds in-house to use with our forecasting program. And we made a really good initial year, getting out into locations that we hadn't been before, interacting with the sled community head on. And I think I'm really pleased to announce that we partnered again with Clem's Equal Power Sports this year. We've got 6 new Polaris sleds coming back. It's really a fantastic partnership, and thank the NWAC board and Scott for helping to smooth that arrangement. And again, this is going to allow us to explore more terrain and also continue our focus on the snowmobile education program and social media, and allow social media presence within the sled community. So switching gears to our mountain weather forecast, we're rolling out phase 2, which is part of a multi-year project to overall and optimize the mountain weather forecast. Phase 1, which was about 2 or 3 years ago, was really focused inward on NWAC, and it aligned our weather forecast program with our avalanche forecast program and schedule. Phase 3 is going to be more about visualization, new sorts of graphing tools, that sort of thing. What's coming this year, and I hope folks get a lot of use out of it, we're going to parse out the most important weather fields from our mountain weather full forecast. And we're going to put that into a table for every single avalanche zone. So you won't have to flip between different tabs or different products. The information that pairs with your avalanche forecast for the day for whatever zone you're going out in is going to be provided and created by NWAC. So we're really pleased about that. This year we've got 2 new fields, 5,000 foot temperatures, which is going to help you plan your day. And then we've taken the 5,000 foot and 9,000 foot winds, and we've just come up with a single wind forecast, which we're calling Ridgeline Wind Speed. And it's really curated per zone to capture the most impactful wind forecast that interacts where snow's going to move. And finally, if you do use the full mountain weather forecast that has all the fields and goes out further in time, that's still going to be available. So no change there other than some formatting. And I want to give you just kind of a behind the scenes look at some of the work that goes into this. I'm not going to spend too much time, but when we're developing these new forecast tools in-house, this summer I got with Robert and thought about how we're going to do this, and Robert's the Python expert, and what he did was he created 19 by 19 kilometer subzones, which are centered on the most popular access points within each avalanche zone. From there, we get mesoscale model output, and that's what's going to go into our, that's going to be our starting point for our weather forecasts. But we didn't stop there. We actually were able to take that model output, some of which is what you see in that plot on the left there, and rerun it for actual storms last season in different scenarios, different flow patterns, and overlay that model output with real-time observations. So we're talking about difference in scale here with a single observation versus what is clearly a large geographic area. But we're able to get a sense for really, like, is the guidance out to lunch, or does it have some anchoring point to what's being observed? And out of this whole project, we're going to see additional forecast guidance available for NWAC forecasters in-house. All avalanche forecasters, including NWAC's team, they have to do a fair amount of weather forecasting themselves. So the more tools that we can give our forecasters, the more quality that's going to go in behind that avalanche forecast. So really, really pleased to have that roll out this winter. So it wouldn't be an NSAW update without talking about the website. And I cannot believe it's been 7 years. But here we are. It feels like just yesterday we were launching our new website. But we've got a new WordPress website that's going to launch next week. It's we've partnered with a Bay Area developer. It's more stable. It's able to handle more media. And Scott and I have been working with the developers every week, and we're really, really pleased with the product so far. So in kind of keeping with the web and tech theme, I wanted to talk a little bit about a subject that's been I've brought up at other NSAWs, and it's the shared U.S. Avalanche Center web project that's managed by the National Avalanche Center. And really what you need to know, Ben was on here before from the Sawtooth. They were the beta Avalanche Center last year that got to test a new back-end avalanche forecast platform. And it worked great. So we're not only creating more uniformity with what the user experiences when you go between centers, so you can interpret and familiarize yourself with the forecast and information, but there's a back-end component to that that's going to help the forecasters, and it's going to reduce costs on everybody developing, just dumping money into web and tech projects. It's going to help forecasters move between centers, and it's, besides efficiency, that translates into real time for our forecasters, and more field time and less fighting the tools that we use to put the forecast out to you all. So one of the big changes you'll see this year is a new observation platform, and it's going to be easy to use, mobile friendly. You're going to be able to upload media, and I think one of the coolest parts about this is not only the kind of table view that you can see on the left, where the latest you can sort by regions, but it's really about querying past avalanche observation. That's a request that we get a lot. Like, hey, do you have a public database where I can see all the avalanches that occurred this season? And this isn't going to have everything, but it will have everything that's submitted to us and stored on our public avalanche, or on our public observation page. So this is a database as well as a tool to use for planning your next day out. If we get a whole bunch of observations in Snoqualmie Pass, and you go to check out the Snoqualmie Pass avalanche forecast, under the observations tab, you're going to see all the latest observations show up, just piped directly in there. And you can see on the right the different, what the observation page looks like. There can be a little bit, or there can be a lot of information there and lots of room for media. So again, this is part of that shared avalanche forecast platform, and it's been really great partnering with the other avalanche centers like the Sawtooth. So just to kind of recap, we've had a busy 6 months since we last saw you, kind of covering a lot of different topics. I'm really proud of the work the entire team has done. When you support us, you open doors so we can improve our products, communication, and execute plans for the upcoming winter. And I want to thank you. And I think this is a good opportunity I want to especially thank Charlotte, Molly, and Renee for their outstanding work launching the first virtual NSAW. This is the first time we're doing this. And this is a chance to remind everyone NWAC is a private-public partnership, and this event, NSAW, it's a great example of how that partnership really works to benefit everyone. So, here's a great winter. Dr. Nick Bond will be talking a little bit more about the La Nina forecast later in NSAW. I'll give you a hint, it looks good. And that's it. I'm going to turn it over to Scott.
Awesome. Thanks, Dennis. Let's just check in on how much time we have. We've only got a couple of minutes for questions here. Timothy's asking, what's the plan for an app? Are we introducing a new app with this website? Dennis, if you want to answer that, or I can help you out there.
I'm going to take a stab at it, Scott, but I'm going to say, no, this is mobile friendly. Do we have app plans?
Yeah, I think that, the longer term vision is to likely introduce an app, but not for this year. The current site should be much more mobile optimized than the existing site. So yeah, the plan is to use that this winter. We've really been focusing all of our time and resources towards, getting the new website built with a plan down the line to work on native apps. Let me take a look here. That is, what are we going time here? Well, there is a question here, interesting one around wind slabs. Lauren's asking if you could briefly speak about the use of wind slab avalanche problems, commenting that last year it looked like that when storm slab was forecasted, that wind slab was not listed as a problem. Any insights to this year, if possible?
Sure. That's been a change that we haven't done a great job in communicating, Lauren. And really that's up to the individual forecaster. And when we choose an avalanche problem, we don't want to overload you with information. So we want the fewest number of avalanche problems that still gets the message across. And, where it comes down to, every storm is going to have snow and it's going to have wind. And the threshold for including wind slab is more, when we look at a typical storm, when it's more of a wind event than your typical Pacific Northwest storm. So that's why a lot of times you'll see, if you read the text that's associated with storm slab, we're talking about where the predominant winds are and where there may be more loading. But we aren't calling out wind slab particularly for, again, your kind of general storm. Now, after a particular event and folks get into the field, if that's incorrect, well, we can add the problem or switch and say, hey, this was more of a wind event and storm slabs just aren't a problem and it's loading on, northwest or east aspects, and really start to give that sort of detail. But I think what you've seen is we're really trying to make cleaner communication and start with as few at-lunch problems as possible.
Awesome. Thank you, Dennis. When there's one more question on if there's a API available, answer is yes. Shoot us an email at info@nwac.us. We can set you up with the API agreement and keys at that point. That'd be great. So thanks so much, Dennis, for putting together a presentation and speaking about the year ahead. So yeah, really appreciate it. It's exciting. There's a lot going on, a lot of changes.
Yeah, thanks, Scott.
And I think it's worth noting, the plug that Dennis made on the new observations platform. We really want the more observations we can get from you all, especially if you were involved in an avalanche or saw an avalanche. Images and videos, the more of that, the better. We're hoping that the new tool on the website has a lot more functionality than the existing observations platform. So we really want you all, when you're heading out in the backcountry, to tell us what you're seeing. It really helps improve the avalanche forecast. So
no excuses, right, Scott?
No excuses now.
We're giving the tool.
Totally. Awesome. Well, thanks again, Dennis, and we'll talk to you soon.